What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? This your boy, JGhee, alongside my man, JB. And my man, my new father. He was a father to me, but now he's officially a father.
Thank you.
My man,
yes,
I am amazing. I keep on getting that mixed up. Is it I am amazing or I am amazing?
Let's just keep it straight amazing.
Amazing, straight amazing. Because that's what you are, brother. And you leading another amazing soul into this world. Look, you guys, you are tuned in, digitally locked into what is known as the Pop Says Podcast. And we're going to get into a lot of stuff, but I just want to pick everybody's brains, just see how y'all are doing, man. This show is dedicated to all the fathers out here, all the providers, even mom says out there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of mom says out there too. And so this show is here to perpetuate the desire and the passion to hold yourself accountable as the men you are, to bring in the next generation of kings, queens, and a whole lot more. All the good things that the kingdom is trying to provide for us, man, in order to be, man. That's what we're trying to be and trying to hold accountability. And like I always say, I am not trying to tell you how to run your household. I just want you to be responsible for the narrative you keep and maintain your household as a home. So let's get into it here at the Pop Says Podcast. Put a drink in your cup, man. Put some ice in there. Get some cigars, man. Get some stogies. Light them up, man, because we're going to put our feet up and we're gonna have some man talk right here. We're going to have some real Pop Says talk right here. Yes, so, man, hey, speaking of, I just want to give a shout out. This beat that you're listening to is by Big E. He started the Boogie Moon. There's a couple of dudes that JB that we talked about that we kind of formulated a circle around, and we had a 6 degrees of separation that added to the Boogie movement. And speaking of the Boogie movement right now, condolences to the family, the Mo3 family, and the individuals that were affected by this past couple of days of this turmoil that's going on in Dallas. I do not have to. I don't want to have to repeat what's already been said, but we've got to do better. We've got to do better, and that's one of the reasons why we're here. To create some type of wave and understanding that, look, we may not have or share the same viewpoints, but we're all in the same boat. You know, we might have a different paddle, but we still on the same current. So, you know, whatever your opposing views out here in Dallas, I'm talking to my youngsters out here and also my young fathers too that are kind of perpetuating this attitude of an eye for an eye. Because, you know, I used to be one of those young fathers that used to perpetuate that ideology. And being young and also coming from the environments that I came from, some were good, some were okay, and some were eye-opening. But it was a gumbo of perspectives that I was given, but the main one over all of them was do unto those as though how you want to be, or treat others how you want to be treated. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? And I think that's one thing that we have to understand, and that think before we react, because emotions make for great slaves, but horrible masters. And if we let them become our masters, then we find ourselves in predicaments where lives are lost. So condolences to the family, and also to the Mo3 family, and also condolences and my prayers go out to the Boosie family, and anybody that has been affected by this high level of crime that's out here. And we already know between the 3 of us, or actually the 4 of us, how Mom says, we have an understanding that it's not the flesh that we wrestle with, but it's the powers and principalities that rule in heavenly realms that we got to put our eye and focus on, and we can't be deceived while we're out here. So I just want to give my hats off, and also to my family. I just lost one also to gun violence. My first cousin, Roger Morrison. Rest in peace to him. We had a proper send-off to him, but as you guys can see, it's a spiritual warfare, and the battleground has been set. So before you start to move on action, think on principle first. Like I always tell people about our current president, or presidents as we may have it right now.
Well, president-elect.
President-elects, you know what I'm saying? We got to pray for them too, no matter who we voted for or didn't vote for. We've got to make sure that our Elohim he understands our plight to make his kingdom that much more, I guess, what he wants it to be from us. And we have that power. So don't forget that. Do unto your neighbor as you would have them do unto you. And God bless the families of those who've been fallen and slain in the process. So Pop says, we talked about what? red pill, blue pill, purple pill. We've been talking.
Got a lot of
Look,
pills.
it's so many pills. It's starting to look like grandmother's medical closets. You know what I'm saying? So
don't forget the pink pill.
And the pink pill. That's
pink pill.
What is that? Is that like Molly or what is that?
No, I don't know, but from at least what I've heard,
does it get you?
It's for women. So like if we have a red pill, I guess they have a pink pill.
Oh, they got a pink pill. Okay. Sans the disco ball, right? There's no disco balls.
And there's a lot of pills.
There's no techno music. It's just the pink pills. Right?
Y'all got me so far disconnected, man. I'm like, pink pill.
Hey, look. I tell you what. I'm telling you, so many pills. I think I need another healthcare plan. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so many different viewpoints, and that's what I'm saying, fellas. Like, is it hype? Is it something that we can learn from? Is it something that we already have manifested in our lives? Because I'm reading this red pill stuff, and I don't necessarily not like it. I don't necessarily am going to completely knock it.
Yeah.
I just feel as though the motivation that's behind it or the agenda that's behind it is a little off-putting, a little offsetting to the culture that we're trying to bring up in the next men. Because I hear the thing of, okay, you can be your own man. You don't need a woman. You don't need, and vice versa on the woman side. But what I'm hearing is you can maintain your order as the male dominant with your kids and profess a new profess a mindset in them that will lead them into a better future. And my thing is, why detract from the stage that is already provided for you to give your kids what you need as a unit? As I understand, you are one with your helpmeet, and there's certain things that your helpmeet can provide, such as the nurturing aspect, right?
Well, see, I think I kind of sum it all up in this, right? Where it's like, you wake up, you decide you're going to start dating. I think the problem is that nobody ever takes accountability in the fact that you just made a bad decision. You selected a bad person. So if I notice that, Scottie Pippen gets divorced, maybe Scottie Pippen just didn't pick the right woman. So a lot of the red pill content that I've heard could be a situation that you could see a person go through something bad, but there's no accountability to the fact that this person, you selected them. So your vetting process to me is where the problem is. So if I'm talking, this is Pop Says Podcast. So if I'm talking to my son, I'm going to teach him how to vet.
Which goes back to our second episode where we talked about the courting process.
Correct.
In reference to, in my particular case, in reference to my daughter. And a lot of fathers, you have either, we can be very black and white in our approach to our kids, especially after their pubescent stage. I guess they're more teenage stage, to where men in particular, there is a disconnect, pretty much a sexual disconnect. And I don't mean that in a sexually physical way, but I'm just saying as far as my daughter being a female and me being a male, there's certain things that I had to relearn that I was incorporating with my son that I thought was going to carry over to my daughter, when that wasn't even the actual case. And some of the things that I profess with my daughter, such as courtship, I should have been professing that with my son as well.
Correct.
Because courtship is just not for daughters. It's for also the sons that want to date your daughters.
Correct, yeah.
So I completely agree with you on that, and it speaks on a little bit about narrative too, but in controlling thereof. So, when you have these dynamics in the home and you have an outlook that maybe is not set to your tone, because there's a lot of compromise that I had to do with my daughter in the courting process. But I think her outlook on how to, like you say, what was the word? Vet.
Yep.
To vet into somebody, or the time that they spend in nurturing the relationship. She has taken more accountability, and she has even told me, like, there's one guy that I was kind of not concerned about her talking to, but the fact that it was just like this, it was like this secret that they had at one time. And it's like the moment to me when you make something that's really not taboo, then you give it a power that it shouldn't have. So thank God that I was able to come in and let my emotions not be my master, and say, okay, how can we compromise in what you want? And you know what? It's kind of like relinquishing the leash to the dog. You know, now the power is not a battle of power, you know what I'm saying? Because now it's like, okay, you make your own decisions. And she told me recently, she said, I didn't find him, whatever. I didn't want to, push it any further than that because, Dad, I remember you telling me that one of the prerequisites was for him to come to you and talk to you, and he hasn't come and talked to you, and you gave him 2 weeks. And I feel like if he's not gonna come talk to you, then what is he gonna do around me? Is he not gonna speak up around me?
I need my 3 daughters to follow that.
You know what? And if I can find the soundboard, I give an applause to that. If I can sound,
I need all 3 of them to follow exactly that right there.
And that's the thing. And also, it's the seed that we've also planted. But we'll get into that. And I'm overcrowding the conversation. But please expound on the information that you have been kind of forerunning, because it's interested. It sparked my interest enough for me to say, okay, am I a bad guy for kind of agreeing with these brothers? Because
I'm glad you brought it up because I agree with a lot of stuff.
And I'm a
married
man.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm all for marriage.
I agree with a lot of stuff they say. The problem is that when you put out a message that says, "Don't get married," for an example, or marriage it's not valuable. The question to me now becomes, okay, well then what do you do? So if we eliminate marriage,
right,
are all these brothers going to stop creating children? Because that to me is what validates marriage in a certain way. Is that
are you asking rhetorically?
I'm just saying, but if you eliminate marriage, I'm saying then what is the other response now? Because from what I understand, they're not done dating.
Right.
They're not done hanging out with women. They're not done.
They getting what? Get money
and just I don't know. Just
get any chick you want to.
Do whatever you want. Right. Just never
do without
marry
will.
them.
That's what it's kind of sounds like.
Definitely.
And it comes down to sex.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like
definitely.
Because I have a gay friend. I have a gay friend, and I asked him what because he transitioned into that lifestyle. And
red pill?
No. Not red pill. I'm just saying. A gay friend that I talked to, I asked him because at one time he was heterosexual and then he found himself into the homosexual lifestyle, and he told me, he said the initial thing was that sex was more accessible, and so that's the question I pose when in relation to red pill. Not that if sex is more accessible, but does it come down to the no strings attached mentality that comes with the single lifestyle that men have towards sex? When you're a bachelor, you seem to have no strings attached, or you try to employ that mentality that there's no strings attached.
But I'll say this, when I read the comment section, when I see it, it doesn't seem like to me the guys are like opposed to marriage, or it feels like there's more of a hurt or a pain that's associated with that goes, you know what, things have been so terrible. I see, and maybe they're just blaming the women of this era. Maybe if they dated in the 20s, they wouldn't feel this way.
And I you know what, I'm riding with you because there's a lot of condescending tonalities.
Yeah,
a lot of condescending tones towards men that are married or about to get married or in the process of getting married, in the sense of, oh, y'all some idiots.
Yeah,
I think it's some harsh language that I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think it starts kind of like with your core belief, right? And I would say like your education, like how were you educated growing up? And not only that, what did you learn from visually, and of course like audibly, right? So how did you? What is that core belief that you grew up with, and from there, with your parents and what you've seen, whether you had a single mother, a single father, because you got best of both worlds. Now you have that masculine and the feminine energy going into you as far as the way your sex life or your relationships or your courting process actually looks like. Because of course, being a man, being having conversations with females, that are single mothers and things like that, you start to realize that they have their perception on life versus your perception on life, a male's perception versus a female's perception. But I feel like that's like both sides needed to make the complete piece, right? So, you know, both of y'all are married men with children, right? I'm a married man, and I just had my first child. There's going to be things that my wife can instill in my son, just like your wives can instill in your daughters, and then vice versa. The masculine energy, which you instill within your son or your daughters. So, and I think a child has to experience or hear both sides, because if not, it's just one perspective of learning. Therefore, it sends like to me a ripple right out into the world. And I feel like the generations that we're in today, such as the red pill, blue pill, pink pill, learning the new terms, right? We're now in a place where that has the loudest voice.
But does it have the loudest voice based off the loudest pain in which it comes from? Because you speak on the PTSD aspect of their notions for bringing this idea up.
Well, that, and when I was talking to AMayesN yesterday, I mentioned this. Even when you look at marriage, look at all the failed marriages. So you can't blame younger people for not wanting to get married when they see no good marriages. The divorce rates are higher. Right. Everything's higher. Right. So why would I want to get married when most of the people around me don't last?
Well, the thing is, it sounds like the motivation that comes from this ideology, it's kind of like it's a concept, and maybe I would say because of the use and the platforms and the saturation of platforms that are given to provide your voice, whereas you didn't have these platforms before. Right. So I don't want to take away from that aspect, but I will say it's kind of like it's a backwards. Not a backwards mentality. I don't want to say that, but it's kind of like the guys that are at the forefront that are leading this movement are usually around their late 30s, mid to late 30s, to even 40s and 50s, right?
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder: are they talking out of past experience, or are they talking out of a sample size of experiences that they've been around?
I think it's a little bit of everything.
I think it's, yeah,
definitely a little bit of everything. Kind of like what I was saying before. It's like educating. What was your form of education in regards to the institution of marriage? A lot of people grew up. You know, of course, you know, you take the black culture. You know, you have a lot of religious people in general. I don't care if it's Muslim, Christianity. We could just go down the list.
Yeah.
But those
that provide backgrounds of
marriage.
Of marriage, right?
Right. So the idea of marriage.
Backdrop. Right.
But I think what happens is society has gotten turned off from the idea of marriage because of the back and forth, such as, or not having those prime examples of what it actually means. Like we have conversations.
But my thing is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you good.
But what I'm saying is, like, the concept is a very common sense concept. That's the first part of that concept is male independence, right? And I don't think that male independence has to be in the form of a buzzword or conjugated understanding of what male independence is. Male independence does not have to represent you being an alpha male. Male independence, to me, where I'm coming from, and I know where y'all coming from, it was a prerequisite to have a certain type of masculinity to get through what you were going through or the environment that you came from.
Right.
Now, and let me finish. Now, here's my thing about that is the message is a base, and the base is to be your own man. Don't rely on anybody when you're younger in your younger days, and be selfish as a younger person. Because you need to, and see, this is where there's no conclusion. They don't curtail the whole mission statement.
But that's why I say I don't have a problem with that, because as a young man, you do need to get focused and get in your grind, because as males, we're held to standards where if you can't provide, you're a joke. If you can't protect, you're a joke. If you can't do nothing, you're just a joke.
Well, here's the thing. You said if you can't provide, you're a joke. if you can't, what was it? If you can't,
you can't protect. If you're too feminine, the list goes on.
Now, what I see is that's not even in the equation. Protecting, providing. That's not even a question in the circumference. You know what's in the circumference is if you don't have a lot of people following you, if you don't have a lot of influence.
Well, that or money,
or money.
Any of those things. Nice cars, homes.
They have replaced that of providing.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
But that goes back to the real. Who are we really battling? You know, and like you said, that's principalities and ideologies from higher places or in different places.
And influences, and that start from either there or high or low.
Right.
It's still the presence of influence.
But that takes me back to when I say vetting, because let's say you do all of those things. Mm-hmm. The question is going to be through you doing these things, are you cutting all women off? Are you not talking to no women at all? Are you not sleeping with anybody at all? Are you just zero? Because
what is your discipline framework?
Exactly. Yeah. Because if you're still dealing with women, then everything that I would say to that is now where the vetting process comes in. Because I talk to people all the time. They say things like,
"Are you dealing with women?" I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, you might be going where I was going to go, which is, okay, she fine. All right. Well, what are her morals like? What is her foundation? What does she believe in? What are the things that help her make a decision? So somebody says, oh, she stabbed me in the back. Okay, well, if she's that type of person, did you verify that she's the type of person to stab you in the back? There's a process.
Before you got there.
Like you can learn someone's character through the dating process.
Because it's actually an interview from what I understand.
Yeah, it should be.
But that's my point. So I feel like the error is in you don't even know how to identify a good woman. You don't know what she looks like, what she possesses, what those qualities are, because I was thinking about this. Let's say I hear a lot of guys that, and this is real popular, like with Kevin Samuels and people that talk about a lot of women can't get a good man because they're overweight. So let's just say hypothetically, the overweight woman had every single quality you were looking for. Would these brothers accept them? Would they still take the woman? She got everything you could ever ask for, but her one quality is she's overweight. Would you still date her? Would you still marry her? Would you still be with her?
Yes.
Or would you go with the one that is slim like you like, cute like you like, all those things like you like, but she don't possess none of this over here.
She don't cook. She don't
got it all.
Well, I guess.
But that's the question. What would you do?
Most dudes.
But she got WAP.
I know, right? Most dudes actually, visually, I feel like visually they're more, especially younger, right? Because lust is a big part of the culture, So you grow up, and then of course, if you in a circle of people who see, who are, let's just say, lustful by nature, right? You're going to have. I'm a product of it, right?
Sure.
So you're going to have that sense of being left out. If, everybody got these bad chicks left and right.
I need one.
Yeah, and then it's like.
Everybody got a PS5, I need one.
But that's the problem. If everybody's looking for a bad chick.
Nobody want the PS5
That to me is exactly what the problem is. Right. Is you're looking for a bad chick.
Yeah. I mean, but I think it starts.
Or society's idea of a bad chick.
Well, whatever it is.
Yeah, but I think it starts there. Like that, if one, such as, back to your question, she has all the bomb qualities, but she's overweight. If you are looking for a bad chick, that's already out of the question.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's the problem. That's exactly what the problem is.
It is. But also we are not recognizing the invisible influence, the art of invisible influence.
And I agree.
Is that the bad chick now was not the bad chick in the 90s.
Yes.
No. The bad chick in the 90s was not the bad chick in the 60s.
Yeah.
If you know anything about the 60s and the fashion era, there was this model named Twiggy who started the heroin. She was the precursor to the heroin look back in the maybe 70s and 80s. But in the 60s, she was like she was small, she was petite, she was skinny, but she appealed to so many young women now. And see what you see now is a kind of a manufacturing of that same outlook, but different size characterizations. So you have the thick, small waisted. We call them slim thick, right? Now I'm talking to my wife. And I'm like, how is this feasible, physically feasible? She said it's not. She said if you look back in the Victorian age, they did the same thing with the girdles.
Yeah,
and history shows that they did a lot of bad things to the insides and whatnot. Now we're seeing it with the.
But if
the
you
waist trainers
notice, everything you're still talking about is outward. That's what I'm saying. That's
still
what
outward.
drives it's like all the men are just chasing something outward.
Yeah,
so
without recollection or understanding what's inside of it.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's just like morals, right? If you were raised, then your mama said don't steal. You hurt that your whole life. You got in trouble for it. You got punished for it. You know, the likelihood that you're a thief when you're 20 is probably lower than a person that was never told you don't have to steal. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not right. It's not bad. It's whatever.
Right.
It's okay to steal. So what I'm saying is when you look at characteristics and traits, you're looking for something where you say, okay, well, what actually makes a woman faithful? Let's just use that for an example. Okay, well, how would you identify that?
Look at the latest Babyface video.
Hold on, I didn't even wait. Babyface dropped something.
You know, all his videos is like the guy that comes and he comes in
and he got divorced. He's not married anymore. She left him.
Yeah. Pebbles got in somebody else's Mercedes, huh?
Well, no, with Pebbles, I thought it was L.A. Reid.
I'm getting it all confused. Who was?
I don't remember who she was, but
Mom said.
Yeah, no, don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know Babyface. After all those great love songs, he still got left, and I think she went to Eddie Murphy.
After all those great love songs,
he wrote the best love songs I've ever heard.
That's a good point.
And she still left. So if she don't love Babyface,
speaking about the music, I guess, and what just is over the air, right? I think that's what influenced the
How do you break up with a guy named Babyface, though?
I mean,
you could say, how could you marry a guy named Babyface?
Yeah.
You could, you could go like, what?
Like, what are you really into?
Really? But, yeah, I think definitely when it comes again back to just
that Benjamin Button fetish. Go ahead.
The air, right? It shows the power of the air, right? And the influence that the air has. So I think when you know, we grew up in like the 90s, well, 80s, 90s is when like a lot of stuff became like popular, like a lot of love music, right? It was extremely popular. Before then, you had like disco, jazz, you know, and just as we go further and further back.
Love songs. It didn't really get too bad until I would say after the 2000s is when it really like
definitely in the 2000s. Definitely in the 2000s, because even I feel like Jagged Edge, that whole
Tyrese,
that they were like the
but
last.
Who was controlling that whole influence?
That movement.
It was the women. It was the women that were the target demographic for those songs to be played.
But they did reverse. So now the strippers are the influential.
Right.
Again, it's the women.
Right.
Because when I used to work at strip clubs, one thing I noticed was you play the songs that the strippers like.
Yeah.
Then that generates more dollars because they're more apt to get out there and you don't really realize what they're going through. They could be on a period, and they have a great way of finessing it. They might be just on a tight schedule where they got to pick up they 2 kids. They they might have packs to sell.
So then
might have to go to their next job. You know what I'm saying? So they're not really.
What you're saying is unknowingly money is the motive.
Money is the
that's always
that
because
but
I mean,
also
it's also changed
if
the
that
whole
is
dynamics,
the motive,
right?
Then in conjunction to the red pill ideology, then sex has to be the motive because what I keep hearing, or if it's not the motive, it's got to be up there.
Now it goes back to what you were saying.
Because now you have women that share the same ideals.
But I think it's because, like you said, is with the women. So I don't even think sex is really, again, the root. It's now get your bag. So if you out getting your bag. No, I'm saying sex on as far as men are concerned on the red pill movement. I mean, well, you know, they say sex sells, right?
Sure.
So, you know, at the end of the day, if the bag is the motive, then now the people's minds are changing according to that. Now the woman's like, I don't want no broke dude. So now she's doing whatever she need to make her own money. And then also, if you ain't got money, you can't even deal with me. Don't even talk to me. Don't even waste my time. So
you're saying he can have all these things, just like in the female sense that the example that we have with the females, He can have all these things, all these qualities. He knows he's good with his hands. He can fix stuff. He's there to pick up the kids. But he just ain't hit that 6-figure mark.
Yeah.
It just ain't doing that for him.
And when I say that, I don't mean that as in everybody, but in like the pop culture, right? The pop culture, when we're talking about over the air and what kind of the progression that everything went through to arrive at this point. You know, I don't think people just woke up today and was like, oh, there was a progression. And like I said, to me, it goes back to the music, right? Like, and the aspect of what you were saying is the want or how women can have so much influence on the dynamics of music.
Okay, so with that, we're saying that entertainment has been the major influencer.
Oh, definitely.
In this red pill movement.
Definitely.
I agree, but I think from a male's perspective, I think men are responding. It don't matter if it's men going their own way. You know, they got Save Yourself Black Man. They got all these different, like, titles this generation just keeps coming up with.
I looked at YouTube today, and I was like...
It's just a bunch of them.
Right.
But I'm saying I feel like the aspect of... I'm going to group it all under feminism is what I'll just group it all under. Men are under attack just in general. And I feel like men are just responding. Like, they like, I don't know what to do.
We're becoming reactive.
So now we're reacting. And I think part of the reaction is that because the war is between male and female, the response is like, well, I got to do something, and I'm getting sick of y'all. So I'm red pill now. I'm men going their own way. I'm something because y'all getting on my last nerves. But that brings me back to the point where it's like, okay, we're all fathers. Everybody's listening. You got kids. Okay, well now, what do you tell your son when he hears this information when he goes to school? When he wakes up and his friends like, man, ain't nobody finna get married, bro. Or don't nobody care that your parents lasted for 22 years, you know, your son. Who cares? I'm not finna do that. It's like, what is that conversation now? Because the benefits of why you should or should not get married is
I can tell you what the conversation is. Because I've had this conversation.
You've had it.
Let's hear it.
I've had it. I had it with my son. And it's exactly almost the same thing that these red pill brothers speak on, but without the subjection of what marriage or their concept of marriage is. Like, the conversation I had with my son was, it's okay to be selfish when it's just you. Because think about it. If it's just you, you have no choice but to be selfish.
Right.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of having a future family. Now, I'm not talking about coming to see mom and dad, if you got money, helping people out. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being selfish in terms of who you are now, who you will be in the future for yourself, and who you will be possibly for somebody else. But that's a possible.
Yeah.
Right? And I can't find any scripture, but something tells me, and I need to back this up, but something tells me that God would rather you be alone than to be with somebody. God would rather you be alone walking with him than to be with somebody and not walking with him.
Well, I mean, Paul touched on that.
Right?
Yeah, he touched on that.
Okay. So there is something that is
there's something there. But in your relationship, but I mean, let's be honest.
But no. Let me finish.
7% of people are doing that. Yeah.
Who cares? Like, but let me finish. At this point, who really, is paying attention to a lot of those early teachers?
Yeah, that's definitely not.
But see, that's the thing. Some of these early teachings, these brothers probably don't, even if some of these brothers might be atheists or whatever, but some of they're grabbing.
They don't realize what they're grabbing.
They don't realize what they're grabbing.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, it may seem like I'm trying to keep him away from marriage. I'm just trying to keep him from marriage at the time where marriage will not benefit him. Right. Because I've been down that road. I've been down that road to where I made my marriage contractual. Now, you might ask, well, did you ever love your wife? Yes, I did. But the phases and the understanding of where my love was, love is it's not a word, it's a language, right? So I didn't even know that aspect of love. To me, love was supporting, bringing in money, protecting. I had a grandfather that fathered the whole family down the street from his main house. A grandfather and a great-grandfather.
That
who
happens a
thought
lot.
that was okay.
But you know, I think the reason that ideology exists is because, you know, when you think of what women really want is protection. They want a provider, you know. So I think that's why that comes into place. But, you know, what if love is a language, what really are we talking about? You know, it's like,
We're talking about your love. If it's a language, I know that's a rhetorical question, but to that question is directed straight at the men who are now getting an understanding of what their love is and what it means. That's what I'm saying about narrative.
see, and I guess just as a woman, what I was gonna say is, just as a woman looks for a provider, a protector, for me, I feel as if men look for respect from a woman, you know, and provider and protector for a woman, respect from a woman. So that to me still is like, I don't really see it as a language. I just feel like that's a natural, innate part of us, right? Now, when it comes to love, I feel like there has to be a definition to it, right? There had to be some way that
so you say it has to be a definition to it, right?
Yeah.
So if there's a definition to love, that means that it could equivocate to a language if there's a definition in it. Because if there's a definition, you need a word to define. You need a word for a definition and definition for a word.
Look, I know a lot of people know that that love language, the 5 love.
No.
languages.
I'm not talking. I'm not talking on the principles of a love language.
I got you.
What I'm talking about is love is a language that is meant for you. It's an encrypted form between you and your wife. Like, I can't go and embed myself into your marriage as your husband.
Right.
So maybe I should say love is more so like an encryption between two hosts or two people.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
But you know what I would add is that
Let's go to 1 Corinthians, right? 13, right?
Speak on it.
And that to me again is like it is a definition, because when, like I said, in the natural inside of a male and a female, we do look for certain things, because this is a world that outside of, you know, scripture, outside of certain things, we still have to survive in. You know, so again, for a woman, she's going to look for, again, the protection, the providing naturally. That's why, again, I feel like even in what we were talking about earlier, when the sex or money comes into the picture, that's why now our understanding, or the understanding, has been diluted. Okay. Now it's been changed or been understood. So
you're saying that money in relation to women is a variable that can offset the understanding of family,
very much
as well as sex in relation to a male is a variable that can offset
or the lack of respect. Or the lack of respect. Because again,
well, let's pick one variable.
I'll say the lack of respect, because we are, as men, testosterone, right? We are sexual beings, right?
Right.
We desire that from a woman naturally, like in our, you know, just like horses, you know, any animal. That's really, at the end of the day, we desire that. So it's the way you're treated throughout that, in that experience, which I feel still comes back to respect. So as
but
a man,
isn't the woman also a sexual being?
Oh, very much so.
Party foul.
Very much so. But I think, again, the women are, they're definitely sexual beings. I mean, of course, they reproduce, right? But again, it's like the idea of sex itself has now changed. Like, just like I said, love changed, sex. The idea of all these things have changed.
Wait a minute, hold on. He said women are sexual beings, and then you kind of footnote it like they reproduce, right?
Right. I mean, right?
But see, that's what I'm saying. We convolute our understanding.
And then we take like something like pornography. I mean, it's like a lot of these things come in and they really attack the mind. Our understanding and attacking the mind.
No, I got you.
So
I got you.
Here's what I would say. I feel like love is an action word, right? Where when you love somebody, you're willing to do things. There's certain sacrifices that come within love.
Okay.
So the problem I feel like is when I hear people talk and they're dating, okay, so the guy dated you and you say, okay, well, he's a teacher. Okay, you're presented now with an opportunity to make a sacrifice if the teacher is worth something. because for some people that could be an automatic, he just doesn't make enough money. But if he possesses all the qualities and all the traits that are good, you have the right to sacrifice a piece of your belief or whatever you value to say, you know what, for him, I'll do this. It's not that this is the case for everybody. It's just for this person, I will do this. And I feel like, especially in marriage, you always making sacrifices. So at the end of the day, the sacrifice that you make for this person is because you love them.
Yeah.
There are things that I do for my wife that I wouldn't do for nobody else. And I'm pretty sure you could say the same thing, and I'm pretty sure you could say the same thing.
Right, but you say because you love them, and because love is an action word, right?
It's an action word.
And then you say love is
I think it's an action word, but there's a definition to that action.
There's a definition to that action word.
Right. Like
and
if
I
I'm
say
walking,
that love is a language.
Yeah.
Right? So I just want to make sure
we got it. Well, here's the thing. But so you just met somebody. Let's just say hypothetically, you just met her. Usually the conversations are so generic. You're like, hey, how you doing? You know, you got any kids? Oh, no, I'm single. You in college? Let's say they're around 20. You're going through a checklist, basically. Right. Even through that checklist, there's bad signs that can pop up that most people ignore. And I'm talking male or female. So she could say, yeah, I have one kid. I'm not saying that because she got one kid, she's a terrible person. But you don't know the dynamic of the relationship between her and him. You don't know if she's still messing with him. You don't know if she's dealing with you, but really still wants him.
That sounds like leverage.
You don't know none of this stuff.
Right.
But if it's not even on your mind, the moment you told me you had a son, I'm going to go, so how's the relationship? Where are y'all at? What's going on between y'all? You still talk to him? Is he in the child's life? I'm now going to start to get information on that because that situation is important because that's going to affect us. So now the guy that didn't ask those questions, they're together. 6 months later, she finds out she's sleeping around with the baby daddy. Well, because you was the rebound dude the whole time.
And you didn't know
you didn't know it. So because you didn't ask the right questions, you weren't even aware of your position in this.
You just reacted to what you thought your position was.
So now you mad going around telling everybody women ain't nothing, and
therefore you don't have a definition of what your love is to that person. Based off, I see how you connect.
But you think you love her,
right?
But really, you didn't really take the time to understand really where she was at, and you didn't ask the right questions.
To tie it to what you're
Mason,
saying,
that was a good point.
No, I got you. But to tie it to what you're saying, I feel it's more of, did you even understand what love meant to you in the first place?
Did you? Okay, I get that.
Does that make sense? So now you're dealing with a female with a baby's father that ends up going and doing this and doing that.
So it sounds like, now we're getting somewhere. What it sounds like is we are not appropriating, we are not pre-setting.
There you go.
And pre-tuning ourselves.
There you go.
For the position of being somebody's helpmeet.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's the root, right?
And without doing that, when we jump into it, we are not giving ourselves time to figure out what type of man we need to be for ourselves, let alone somebody else.
And then what you need in return. So you don't even know
what you want.
You don't know what you want. You don't know what you need in return.
Right.
So when all these women you're dealing with aren't, I guess, performing what you want, you're upset.
Yeah.
Right.
But you didn't even know what you wanted.
I didn't even know I was in the pregnant women until my wife got pregnant. He's like,
really?
My wife just gave birth.
Look.
No, your wife is very beautiful.
Nah, she's awesome.
Well, all of our wives are beautiful. But that's what I'm saying. I make light of it, but seeing her in that moment with that fresh skin and that good smelling breath in her body, she smelled like graham crackers when she was pregnant. It's just like, and she had a glow about it. It was
I'll tell you though, after giving birth, it gave me a whole different. After she gave birth, like I gave birth, right? But after she gave birth, it gave me a whole nother level of respect.
Yeah,
for my wife, that I'm like, whoa,
exactly.
And marriage is a struggle. I think a lot of people run from that struggle though. Like I think a lot of people think it's supposed to be bells and whistles when you find a woman that you want to marry or be with, or red pill, blue, whatever it may be. But the reality is, I think and just to kind of bring it back real quick, is I think a lot of times we are equipped, especially in this day and age, to want the perfect situation.
Yeah.
And the perfect situation just doesn't happen, right?
It don't exist.
It doesn't exist. So I think a lot of times when we go into it, we're expecting something perfect. It's like a high expectation that you end up letting yourself down. So then back to what you were saying, you be like, these girls ain't loyal, right? You know, I say it Chris Brown's way, but I'll just keep it clean, right? PG-13.
What'd you say, Chris Brown?
These girls ain't loyal. So, I mean, you just keep it.
Welcome to our podcast.
You keep it strictly like that. But at the same time, like I said, I feel like it comes down to people don't understand or they have a false expectation of what actually goes into a marriage. Therefore, they give up on the idea of it really quickly.
Well, I look at it like this too. I like to use myself for an example because I remember
I got a lot of examples.
I remember dating, as somebody young, and your thought process is that it's like, okay, I'm with her, she's getting on my nerves now. I could just replace her and go find someone better.
The grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah, and then you do it again and again and again. The only thing I think is the difference in a marriage is that when you feel like it's got to a point where you're like, this person is trash, you go, but I've committed to you, so we're gonna work it out. We're gonna find a way through this. Versus at 15 or 16, it's like, yeah, she wilding, I'm just gonna go replace her. But then you find out that they all messed up.
Right.
Okay.
We all got issues.
Yeah, there is no woman that's going to be better than next. She's just going to come with a different set of problems.
Yeah.
But you still got to deal with them. So the only difference in the marriage is you just say, I'm not going to go nowhere. We're going to find a way to work it out. We're going to battle through it. Versus you 42 with, you done had 33 girlfriends in your life.
It's funny because my wife, she got a friend, right? And we used to have conversations like this. And I used to be like, really, when it comes to finding that somebody, this is the one thing I used to talk about a lot, even though I sometimes forget it myself, right? Is identify 3 to 5 very important core values to you. Such as, to me, loyalty, honesty, and I told my wife I just liked her homely aspect, the fact that she likes to take care of the house.
Okay.
So those were 3 things that I identified within her very early on that I fell in love with.
Before
right?
marriage.
Before marriage. Just in our courting or dating phase, right? But I just love the idea on it. That alone made me just say, I don't see that in many women out here. And then of course her beauty, but just seeing those 3 things really made me like just cling to her, right?
Okay.
And I think a lot of people
that was
have
a selling point,
right? I think a lot of people have so many more expectations outside of, but I feel like you have to identify the common denominators, right? You have to go to those fundamental things as far as morals, values, principles, whatever they may live by, but you can't have this long list of things. And I think that's what a lot of people have, is a long list of things versus really saying these 3 things are very important to me.
And I also think that list gets a little bit more curtailed as you live your life
experience
and you have experiences.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Not to say that you're settling, but you start to filter.
Yeah.
You have a better understanding of filtration.
How you prioritize which ones are more important.
But back to the red pill thing, right? That list becomes void because she got to be slim thick.
Right.
So that list that he's referring to is irrelevant because she ain't slim thick.
So, I mean, you telling me that there ain't no slim thick chicks out here that still possess
No,
those
it's not that they don't. It's the problem. This was, and I have the conversation all the time. The problem is you can't control who likes you.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Especially
so you can like whoever you want to like.
You can like Rihanna, right? But that
they don't like you.
Right.
So at the end of the day, if only 7 girls like you, sorry, regardless of what they look like, those are your 7.
to choose from.
Now, and we know this, money means you get more. You know, if you're rich, you got anything you want.
Casting your net.
But if you are a guy that's normal, regular guy, and I'm talking about not the most attractive guy, not the most buffest athletic guy, the football. I'm talking about if you're just a regular guy, you only can like the people that like you back. But you usually don't want the people that like you.
So you're saying you need to learn how to play the games you can win.
You need to understand that at the end of the day, let's just say you only like skinny girls. But if only big girls like you, you need to probably think about that.
You might. There's something about you that you may need to change.
It's something they just like. It's something because you can't control. You cannot make a woman like you.
Right.
So if you find one that's willing to give you the world, but she doesn't look the way you want, that's still your fault.
Well, you're not gonna find a skinny girl in the Golden Corral. That's one thing.
She might be in there, but I'm not going to Golden Corral. So that's a whole nother conversation.
Sorry, Golden Corral, I don't.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Okay, we just go mark them off.
That's what I'm saying. That's off the list. Yeah, but here's what I'm saying is,
the croissants they go.
The problem is that you can't control it. Like, if you are viewed as an attractive male, you got options. If you're viewed as an athletic male, talented in any way, shape, or form, you have options. Mm-hmm. If you have money, your parents come from money. You got options. Yeah. But if you're a male that's viewed as ugly by women, you may not have before.
Or better yet, if you're a male that hasn't created many options.
That as well, but I'm saying I'm taking it more. I'm looking at it like if you're around 16. Because I'm thinking about sons. I'm not thinking about like I'm thinking about a young man that's just
16. You can glow up though.
You can, but I'm referring before the glow up.
And I'm telling you, by 20, you should start to realize, okay, I need to.
The glow up has dwindled.
But I'm talking about before the glow up because usually I'll say this: if you know you ugly, you probably knew this around middle school. That's what I'm trying to say. If you knew
take
you
the time out to look at your mama and your daddy,
no,
them's your people.
Because I think people have a hard time accepting that attractive levels are different. You got to be realistic in where you are on the attractive bar.
Right.
So you might need to buff up a little bit to cover something else.
I don't know, man.
You might need to do something like if your teeth ain't straight or something. You might need to go get. There's little things that you need to recognize. The awareness of you.
Right.
That I need to improve this. I need a fade. I need this. Right. Maybe this cut ain't working. Maybe it's my clothes. I need to get some new. I'm saying there's things you can do to make yourself more.
See, but when we talk about the red pill, I promise you, this is the way I feel about it. At least is these brothers probably wouldn't be deemed as unattractive.
They definitely can be easily because they're regular guys. It's not like Lil Wayne is crying red pill or men are. This isn't a rich man problem.
All right, I'm not talking about the rich man. I'm talking about the average man, right?
Or six-figure man problem because guys with six figures still got the whole they got an almost unlimited option.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
I'm talking about regular guys.
I guess after I seen some of the dudes mama picked, I'm just like, all right.
No, you don't even bring up mama. Mama is disqualified from this conversation.
Mine is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's it. Mama don't count.
My mom don't count.
No.
Shout out to my mom. She got me first string on the baseball team, man. I love it.
But I guess what I mean by that, as beautiful as my mama was or is, right? She
and as beautiful as your mama was, she couldn't keep a man.
And that's coming from the brother.
That's right. So mama is disqualified from this conversation.
Nah, I feel you.
Shout out to our moms. Hey, look. So we got about 5 minutes left in the show. So I want to kind of transition this into our father focus. And before we get into father focus, did anybody catch any games? I'm into interjecting in the sports. I know that's your thing.
Same.
How we looking in the Western Conference?
We ain't looking like nothing. I mean, the league's about to start up. We didn't make no moves for real. Luka, take us home. That's it. Whatever.
I bring that up because he was like Luka.
Yeah, Luka. He gonna get us some rings though. I ain't worried about it.
You ain't got nothing to say about the Cowboys.
I was about to say that. I was say Cowboys. We got a bye week, so we set to play next week.
Nah, we played it. We had. I think we had a bye week last week. We played this week.
Okay, this week. I'm in there this week.
Yeah.
And so look, when I saw course, we talked about Dak and his departure and everything. Speaking of red pill, how about Jerry Jones being a representative of the Red Pill Foundation and Nation, in that he's probably gonna dump one to get another one.
Oh yeah, Jerry gonna get chose. Jerry gonna do Jerry. That's what
Jerry gonna get chose. That's all I got to say. But I'll be more mindful to bring in the sports segment next time in the beginning of the show. And as we move towards the end of the show, thank you for being with us. You can catch us on what's our Instagram, Twitter.
Everything
YouTube.
is Pop Says. Pop Says Podcast.
Pop Says Podcast. So we like to end the show with father focus. And the reason why I was kind of getting an understanding of our concepts of love was because I think that we need to take every viewpoint that we see with the saying, with a grain of salt, and be able to filter what we hear, because there, like I said, there is some great concepts to the red pill, and that they're trying to show.
Yeah, I agree.
They're trying to gravitate a thinking, especially the young mentality, to be your own male. But I also think that there needs to be an addition to that ideology, in that make yourself right so you could be right for the right one.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because I do believe that we are to come 2 by 2.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And I do think that we should go out and be fruitful and multiply. But I think it's within the confines of what the kingdom allows us to operate in. And so, with that said, I incorporate all my fathers, my supporters, my providers, and also keep in mind, if you are in a relationship where you're still providing for that female or that lady, I commend you. I just want you to know where your motivation lies. Don't do it for the sake of you getting likes or approval from that person, and vice versa to the women. Do it because it satisfies you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's words, some people have words for it, like simp and stuff like that. But you know what? If I didn't have men in my life that helped my mom out and knowingly knew that that's what they were there for, I wouldn't get that opportunity to get out the house and play baseball with another guy. And I had a father.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? That was there. But I was always around men. Male influence. So even with the women that are trying to figure this out and that are single and that are just, maybe going from one male to another, thinking that is a sufficient way to suffice for provisions or to provide for the family, hey, it may not be what I would suggest, but you're trying to figure it out, and you're feeding that little one, because that little one was me, that little one was you. And based off your background, we've got a lot of, you guys can write a book. But
and I think it's important to like you said, get that male influence, because maybe not in this generation, but in the next, we can raise up.
So don't think you simping.
Raise up some.
Yeah. For all you fellas that already know that child is not yours, but you want to be there for that child, you are not a simp. You are not a trick. You are what God chose you to be in that particular situation. For the guys and women that are expecting something as far as leverage, check yourselves, because we need to have an understanding with our young minds. So understand that father focus to all my husbands, providers, is to know your love language. Get an understanding of what your love language, whether it be a principle of love language, gift giving or whatever, or if you understand your relationship to be filled with love, what does that love entail? Also, know the definition based on AMayesN. My brother AMayesN said, know the definition of your love in the context in which you're providing. And also, know that love is an action word. Yeah. So put action behind it. Well, look, got a minute in the segment, man. We're just going to ride out with the music, man. If I can get the music. Last time I was struggling with the music last time. But y'all can catch us up on YouTube, Pop Says, Instagram, Pop Says, everything Pop Says. And I love y'all. Be blessed, be motivated. And this is Pop Says Podcast. My man, JB, AMayesN, and of course your boy JGhee.
And please don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe, hit the follow, do all that good stuff. Shout out.
Say that one more time.
Subscribe, like, follow, all the stuff to make sure you're keeping up to what's going on with Pop Says Podcast.
You heard it here on the Pop Says Podcast.